And what we're trying to do here is record this so that I can hopefully get this recording later and push it out to people who have conflicts and can't be here. So this is just a little trial. So before I begin the lesson, does anyone want to share something good that they've experienced or seen?
Like, no. No.
Nothing.
No.
Well, there's got to be something good going on.
Not really. This quarantine kind of sucks. Do you know anything about graduation or like prom? Do you have any updates?
They've not given us anything about graduation or prom. You know, I know that that's difficult for you guys that are seniors,
Yeah.
but you know, we're still a couple months away from when graduation would occur. I would expect probably, I wouldn't count on prom, but graduation, who knows? We'll just, you know, we'll have to wait and see. So I would say, I know it sucks to think about that, but don't worry about that right now because there's still all of April, all of May, and you know, that's a long way off right now. I mean, it seems close, but in the scheme of things, it is kind of a ways off. So, you know, we'll have to see later on what happens. Okay, I'm going to go through a little bit of chapter 11, and then if you have questions as I'm going along, you can remember to unmute your mic if you have a question so I can hear you. Okay, so make sure you check if your microphone's muted or unmuted. All right, so we're going to try to share the screen here and see how that works. Okay, so if you're not seeing it, let me know. But otherwise, right now, you should be seeing the screen for the chapter 11. And then when this is up, I can't see the chat at this moment. All right, so chapter 11 is on motivation and emotion. So before I get to that, does anyone want to tell me what motivated you to take this class? Why did you take this class? What motivated you to do that?
Well, I want to study psychology in college, so I thought this was going to be like a good start.
Okay. Is anybody motivated to take this class because of a double grade bump? Usually that's what I find. Some people are motivated to take the class to get that double grade bump.
What motivated me to take this class was that I took Psych last year. So, and I actually really enjoyed the class. So I thought that I could take a more advanced class this year. And then once I'm in college, I could do more psychology because that's what I plan to do in the future.
All right. Nice. Okay. So in this section, we're going to look at some of the theories about motivation, and we're going to look at motivation and behavior, and then some of the components that have to do with emotion. So motivation is some set of factors that activate, direct, and maintain behavior, usually toward a goal. And emotion is a subjective feeling, including arousal, cognition, and expressions. We have three basic categories of theories on motivation. We have biological theories, psychosocial theories, and then a biopsychosocial theory. So in the biological theories, we have three. The first is instinct, that there's something that's really unlearned within a species, and most of the members of the species engage in that kind of behavior, so it's just instinct. The second is drive reduction, and I'm going to talk about each of these in a second. So this is just a quick overview. Drive reduction is that we have something deficient in our physiological makeup, like hunger, and so then we're driven to do something about that. And then the third is arousal, where in order to perform, we're motivated to be at our peak. So we don't want to be too sleepy or too excited. The next two theories are in the psychosocial theories. The first is the incentive theory, that our motivation comes from something external to us, and we're being pulled toward doing something. And then the cognitive theory, that our expectations and attributions affect how we're going to behave. And again, I'll talk about that in a minute. And then the last theory is the biopsychosocial theory, which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which we've seen before, that there are some motives that need to be satisfied before other motives can be met. So in the biological theories, we have three theories. You have a question? Go ahead.
So what's the biggest difference between drive reduction and incentive?
Between drive reduction and what?
And incentive.
Incentive. Well, I'm gonna talk about each of those in a minute. One, the drive reduction is a push from the inside, and the incentive is a pull from the outside.
Oh, okay.
All right. So instinct is those patterns that are unlearned, and so every member of the species acts the same way. In the drive reduction, there's a biological need, like hunger or thirst, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And so we're motivated to get food or do something to quench our thirst. And then the arousal is we're trying to be at a certain point where we can be at our best. So instinct, I've already talked about. That's pretty clear that there's that unlearned thing that motivates us to behave in certain ways. In the drive reduction theory, we want our body to maintain a state of homeostasis. So that's where everything's in balance. And so if we're in this state of homeostasis, then that's all great. But sometimes a biological need occurs. And so we get hungry or we get thirsty. So we have this need for food or water. So that creates tension within us. And so then we're driven to relieve that state of tension. And so that motivates us to behave in a certain way. So we take some kind of goal-directed behavior. We take action to eat so we're not hungry, or we take action to find water because we're thirsty, okay? Or we're driving along and we drank all the water and now our bladder's full, so now we're motivated to find a bathroom. So we have this drive within us to reduce that tension so we can get back to that state of homeostasis. So with the drive reduction theory, there's a push from inside to do some kind of behavior. In the arousal theory, it says if we're too sleepy, then we're not going to perform well. If we're really anxious or overexcited, we're not going to perform well. So we're motivated to be at a certain level of arousal so that we can perform at our optimal levels. So we want to get the rest that we need on the one hand, but we want to take care of some of the anxieties on the other hand. Within the psychosocial theories, we had the two theories. One was the incentive theory. So here, there's some kind of external stimulus that's motivating us to behave in a certain way. So you're sitting around the house and then mom's in the kitchen baking cookies and you smell those cookies. Now you're motivated to go up and go get a cookie because you want that. So, you know, when we think about like Thanksgiving or sometimes any other meal, we eat to a point where we're satisfied, our hunger is satisfied, but then why do we keep eating after that? Because something tastes good. Okay, sometimes people have a job and they work to the point the salary meets their needs. Well, why do they keep working overtime, okay, to get more money? So this is the incentive theory, that there's something pulling us to behave in certain ways. There's that external motivation. And then the other psychosocial theory is the cognitive theory, that our motivation is affected by our attributions and expectations. An attribution is what you attribute something happening, why it happens that way. What do you attribute is going on there? Okay, it's how we interpret or think about our own actions or other people's actions. So for instance, if you receive a high grade in your psychology class, what do you attribute that grade to? Well, one, you could attribute it to that you earned it because you worked hard. Two, you could attribute it to the fact that you just lucked out. And three, you could attribute it that you had such a great psychology teacher that was really interesting. So if people attribute their successes to their personal ability and to their effort, then they tend to work harder towards their goals than people who attribute their success to luck. So if you think your success is because of luck, you're not motivated to work hard. If you think your success, if you attribute that success to your efforts, then you're motivated to work harder. And then expectations is along the same lines. What do you expect? That's going to motivate you to behave in a certain way. If you expect to get an A in psychology, then you're more likely to work hard and put in the time studying. If you don't expect to succeed, then you're not going to put in that much of an effort. And then our last category was biopsychosocial theories, and we have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you remember that from before, that certain needs have to be met first. So the first needs are our physiological needs. Now, don't confuse that with psychological. Physiological is something different. Physiological has to do with your body. So that's our hunger, our thirst, and to maintain that sense of homeostasis. So that has to be met first. So think of if you're on your way to Six Flags with a group of people, and so right now you're motivated to go have fun, but you drank a giant soda before you got in the car, and now all of a sudden your bladder's full and you're squirming and dancing around. Well, now you're motivated to go take care of that and to find a gas station first. So our physiological needs need to be met first. Once those are met, then we can meet our safety needs. So obviously, you know, to feel secure and safe, but also part of that is to seek pleasure and to avoid pain. Once those are met, then we can move on to our belonging and love needs. So we have the need to affiliate with others. We want to be accepted. We want to get affection, but also part of that is to give affection. So we want to both give and receive affection. Once we feel that we're accepted, that we're part of something, then we can work on our esteem needs. So then we're motivated to achieve at things, to be competent, to gain approval for what we do and to excel. And once we feel those esteem needs have been met, then we can move on to the highest needs, which are self-actualization needs, to find that self-fulfillment and to realize our true potential. All right, so if we're eating to reduce hunger, that's a good example of what theory of motivation? Who can chime in and tell me?
Is that drive reduction?
Yes, very good. That's the drive reduction theory. What theory of motivation explains why we might eat a slice of pumpkin pie after consuming a heavy holiday dinner? Nobody's got that one. That's the incentive theory of motivation. Okay, another thing that motivates us is hunger and eating. Okay, and hunger is a lot more complicated. So I said I only want to go for about 20 minutes here. So I think we've kind of reached that point. So I'm going to pick up with this, the next class, or the next class on this would be on Wednesday. But right now I have to see if I can share the video meeting of this recording. And then we'll decide if I just have to make recordings and push them out, if we can meet live. So before we go, does anybody have any questions?
Are we going that's like due this week, like on Friday or something?
You are not going to have any work, even if we were in the classroom. Okay, you did the work of the research paper, so that's the work that's done. The only other question to be resolved is testing.
Oh, I see.
And I don't have an answer for testing yet, so that's the only component. But you're not going to have any other work or assignments to do.
I see. And I've been hearing from other teachers that our grades can only increase. Like our grades can't get any lower. Is that true?
For the high school classes, that's true. Okay, your grades can't go down. For the college class, this is different because we're operating under MSJC guidelines, and so MSJC expects this to actually continue as a class. Now, since you don't have work, there's nothing to bring your grade down. So you'll have the test. So yeah, your grade is not going to go down even in this class. Okay, but if we can figure out testing, then you may have a chance to bring it up.
I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, you guys have a good day. If you have any questions, you can always email me. Okay? All right, have a great day.
Thank you.
Welcome.